The rain hammered the courthouse steps like it had a grudge, turning the granite slick and unforgiving under Elias Hawthorne's polished loafers. He stood there, tie loosened, collar unbuttoned, staring at the manila envelope in his hand as if it were a live grenade. "You're joking," he muttered to the empty air, but the words dissolved into the downpour, just like the life he'd built brick by brick over the last decade. Inside that envelope wasn't a verdict or a settlement. It was a contract, inked in his father's trembling hand, binding him to a stranger in a city that chewed up dreams and spat out obligations. Elias crumpled the edge, rain soaking through the paper, blurring the signatures like tears on a love letter no one wrote. He'd clawed his way to partner at Hawthorne and Pierce before 30, defending tech moguls and whistleblowers in glass-towered boardrooms overlooking Puget Sound, where the water always looked blacker at night. Alphas like him didn't bend. They broke the world to fit. But family? That was the one courtroom he never won. His father, Harlan, had called from the hospice bed 2 weeks ago, voice a rasp over the morphine drip. "It's time, son. The Elises need us." "You need this." "Need." The word tasted like ash. He'd driven straight from the office that night, the BMW's wipers slashing futile arcs across the windshield, mind replaying the old man's plea. Harlan Hawthorne, once the fiercest litigator west of the Mississippi, reduced to bargaining chips with a rival pack from Maine. The Elises owned half the lobster traps in Bar Harbor, old money salted with new grudges, and their bloodline was thinning. Too many betas, not enough omegas to hold the line. Elias's jaw clenched as he recalled the details. A merger masked as matrimony, sealing a land deal that would save the family firm from bankruptcy. And the omega? Rowan Ellis, 28, suitable, his father had said, like describing a piece of furniture. Now, standing in the deluge outside King County Superior Court, Elias felt the pull of it all, the weight of legacy crashing down like the storm clouds overhead. He wasn't ready for this. Hell, he wasn't ready for anyone. Dates had been distractions, quick hookups in anonymous hotel rooms were since mingled and faded by morning. No bonds, no bites, no mess. But this was a cage disguised as a ring. The ceremony was scheduled for dawn in a waterfront chapel in Fremont, the kind with stained glass that bled color onto the pews like spilled secrets. Elias arrived early, the air thick with salt and regret, his suit hanging off him like a bad decision. The officiant, a beta priest with wire-rimmed glasses, nodded solemnly as if this were holy instead of hostage. Then the doors creaked open, and there he was, Rowan Ellis, stepping into the dim light like a ghost from a fog-shrouded coast. Tall for an omega, lean and unyielding, with hair the color of storm-tossed waves cropped close to his skull, Rowan moved with the precision of someone who'd learned to brace against gales. His eyes, gray as slate, swept the room without landing, mouth a thin line that said surrender without a word. He wore a simple black suit, no tie, sleeves rolled to expose forearms corded from years hauling pots on rocky docks. No bouquet, no best man, just a single pearl-tie pin that caught the light like a tear held back. Elias's alpha instincts flared unbidden, a sharp inhale of ocean brine and something sharper, like pine resin after a fire. Mate potential, his body whispered, but his mind recoiled. This wasn't choice, it was chains. They stood at the altar, the priest's voice droning over vows neither had written. "Do you, Elias James Hawthorne, take Rowan Alexander Ellis?" Elias's hand trembled as he slipped the band onto Rowan's finger, cool skin against his own heated palm. Rowan's gaze flicked up then, locking for a heartbeat, cold, assessing, a wall of ice where warmth should be. "I do," Elias said, the words hollow as the echo off the water. Rowan's response was a murmur, barely audible. "I do." No inflection, no fire. Just duty, etched into every line of his face. The reception was a farce in a rented loft overlooking the ship canal, fairy lights strung like nooses, catering from some overpriced fusion spot serving salmon tartare that tasted of obligation. Elias's colleagues clapped him on the back, toasting to fresh starts, oblivious to the noose tightening. His sister, Lena, pulled him aside in the kitchen, her beta practicality cutting through the haze. "You look like you're at a funeral, Eli. Talk to him. He's not the enemy." But Rowan was across the room, nursing a whiskey neat, back to the wall, scanning the crowd like a sentinel on watch. Elias approached, heart pounding harder than it had in any cross-examination. "Rowan," he started, voice low, "this doesn't have to be." I mean, we can figure out ground rules. Separate rooms, separate lives. I'm in the city, you're. He trailed off, realizing he didn't know. Lobster boats? Foggy mornings? Rowan's eyes narrowed, the gray sharpening to steel. What I am is here because I have to be. Same as you. His voice was quiet, laced with a main drawl that rolled like distant thunder, low and unhurried, but carrying the weight of storms. He set the glass down with deliberate care. Don't mistake necessity for interest, Hawthorne. We sign the papers, we play the parts. That's it. Elias felt the rebuff like a slap, his alpha pride bristling. Fair enough. But we're adults. We can at least. A waiter bumped past, spilling champagne, and Rowan was gone, melting into the shadows. Elias stood there, glass in hand, the bubbles rising like regrets he couldn't drown. That night, in the penthouse Elias had reluctantly opened up, spare and modern, all glass and steel overlooking the Space Needle, they unpacked in silence. Rowan's duffel hit the guest room floor with a thud, zipper rasping like a zipper on a body bag. Elias lingered in the doorway, watching as Rowan methodically hung 2 shirts, folded a sweater with creases sharp as accusations. Bathrooms down the hall, Elias offered, grasping for normalcy. Towels are fresh. Rowan didn't look up. Noted. The door clicked shut, and Elias retreated to his own space, the king bed mocking him with its emptiness. He stripped down, the mirror reflecting a body honed by gym sessions and stress runs, broad chest dusted with dark hair, abs from too many skipped meals, the faint mating scar on his neck from a youthful mistake long excised. Alpha perfection, they called it in boardrooms. But tonight, it felt like armor cracking. Sleep evaded him, the city hum filtering through the windows like a lullaby for the damned. At 3 a.m., he padded to the kitchen for water, the fridge lights spilling cold blue across the tiles. Rowan was there, silhouetted against the skyline, a cigarette glowing between his fingers, smoke curling lazy as a sigh. Elias froze, sense colliding, his own cedar and leather alpha musk against Rowan's briny chill. Can't sleep? Elias asked, voice rough from disuse. Rowan exhaled, ash flicking into the sink. Homesick. The word hung, simple and savage. For Maine. Elias leaned against the counter, arms crossed to hide the tremor. For quiet. Rowan's profile was sharp in the neon bleed from outside, jaw set like it held back a tide. Seattle's too loud. Too many people pretending they're not alone. Elias laughed, bitter and short. Pot, kettle. I'm the king of pretending. Rowan's head turned then, eyes tracing Elias's bare torso with clinical detachment. Then we're both experts. He stubbed the cigarette, the sizzle echoing. Good night, husband. The title landed like a gavel, and Elias watched him go, the guest doors sealing with finality. Alone in the kitchen's glow, Elias gripped the counter, knuckles white. This marriage wasn't a union. It was a mirror, reflecting back the voids he'd ignored. And as the rain picked up again, drumming against the glass, he wondered if the real storm was just beginning. The first week blurred into a rhythm of avoidance, their penthouse a battlefield of unspoken truces. Elias dove into work, dawn patrols to the firm where depositions waited like landmines. He'd argue motions on patent infringements, his voice a blade slicing through opposition, but his mind wandered to the man back home, the Omega who moved like smoke, present but untouchable. Rowan, it turned out, had taken a job at a harborside bookstore in Ballard, shelving dog-eared paperbacks on maritime history and poetry no one bought. Elias discovered it by accident, spotting the Ellis name on a freelance editing gig through a client referral. Evenings were minefields. Dinner was takeout from opposing coasts, Elias's poke bowls from the market, Rowan's clam chowder heated in silence. They'd eat at the island, forks scraping porcelain, the TV murmuring some cop drama neither watched. How was the day? Elias tried once, after a particularly brutal settlement. Rowan shrugged, spoon midway to his mouth. Books don't talk back. A pause, then softer. Yours? Same old sharks. Elias forced a smile, but it died under Rowan's gaze. Those eyes, always assessing, never inviting. It gnawed at him, this coldness, like frostbite setting in slow. Weekends were worse, the city folding in on itself with gray skies and fairy horns wailing like lost souls. Elias suggested a drive to Discovery Park, trails winding through old-growth cedars where the air smelled of moss and memory. Clear the head, he said, keys jingling like an olive branch. Rowan eyed him from the couch, legs tucked under, a worn copy of Moby Dick open on his lap. Pass. Got shifts. Come on. It's not a date, it's detox. Elias's tone edged desperate, alpha command slipping through unbidden. Rowan's book snapped shut. Detox implies poison. This, he gestured between them. It's just inevitable. He stood, all lithe grace and guarded edges, and brushed past to the door. I'll be late. The slam echoed, and Elias sank into the cushions, the leather creaking under his weight. Inevitable. The word burrowed, a hook in his gut. He'd always controlled the narrative, closing arguments that swayed juries, mergers that bent fortunes. But Rowan? He was the variable Elias couldn't predict, the witness who stonewalled every question. That night, alone with a bourbon neat, Elias scrolled through old photos on his phone. Lena's wedding in Napa, Golden Hills and laughter. Harlan's retirement roast, back when cancer was just a shadow. No pictures of his own milestones, no one to capture the quiet victories. Loneliness had been his companion, a shadow he outran with billable hours. But now, with Rowan under the same roof, it sharpened, a blade honed on proximity. Monday brought a curveball, a summons from Harlan's lawyer, a wizened beta named Mortimer who'd handled the Hawthorne well since the 80s. The office smelled of oiled leather and stale coffee, walls lined with law tomes gathering dust. Mortimer slid a folder across the desk, glasses perched low. Contingencies, Elias. Your father's last wishes. Inside, stipulations on the marriage. Cohabitation for 6 months minimum. Joint appearances at family events. And, God help him, a scent bonding clause. Archaic holdover from pack law, requiring shared suppressants to foster compatibility. Elias's stomach twisted. This is medieval bullshit. We're in 2025, Mort. Omegas aren't chattel. Mortimer's eyes twinkled, unmoved. Tell that to tradition. The Ellis merger hinges on it. Lose the bond, lose the firm. Elias stormed out, folder clutched like a noose, rain lashing his face as he hit the street. Back home, Rowan was in the living room, laptop open to some editing software, red pen marks bleeding across a manuscript. Elias tossed the folder on the coffee table. Read it. Then tell me this isn't a prison sentence. Rowan glanced up, expression unchanging, but his fingers paused on the keys. He flipped the cover, scanning pages with the efficiency of someone who'd memorized worse. Minutes ticked by, the only sound the cursor blinking. Finally, he closed it, voice even. It's what we signed for. Like hell. Elias paced, energy coiling like a spring. We can fight this. Annul it. My name carries weight. I can bury them in paperwork. Rowan's laugh was soft, mirthless, a sound like waves retreating from shore. And leave your father penniless in that bed? My pack scattered to the winds. He stood, closing the distance. Close enough Elias caught the faint undercurrent of his scent, salt and sorrow, laced with something wild, untamed. We're both trapped, Alpha. Pretending otherwise is just another lie. The air thickened, pheromones stirring despite suppressants. Elias's cedar warmth clashing with Rowan's chill brine. For a heartbeat, Elias reached out, hand hovering near Rowan's arm, the pull magnetic, primal. Then Rowan stepped back, walls slamming up. Don't. Elias dropped his hand, heat flooding his cheeks. Why? Afraid I'll make you feel something. Rowan's eyes flashed, the first crack in the ice. Afraid you'll make me forget why I can't. He turned away, shoulders rigid, and the moment shattered like glass underfoot. That night, Elias lay awake, the city's pulse mocking his own erratic beat. Rowan's words echoed, trapped, lie. For the first time, the penthouse felt too vast, echoes amplifying the silence between walls. Loneliness wasn't absence anymore. It was the ghost of connection glimpsed and lost, a hunger that gnawed deeper with every rebuff. As weeks bled into the second month, the cracks began to show, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet erosions of routine. Elias found himself lingering after work, detours through Ballard's farmer's market for fresh sourdough or wild blueberries, excuses to bridge the gap at dinner. Thought you might like these, he'd say, sliding the paper bag across the island, watching Rowan's fingers, calloused from ropes and keys, hesitate before accepting. Rowan nodded, once, twice, the barest thaw. Thanks. But his eyes would dart away, to the window where ferries cut white wakes across the sound, as if answers lay in the horizon. Elias learned fragments then, pieced from silences. Rowan had left Bar Harbor at 22, after his brother's overdose. A beta lost to the bottle, pack fractured in the aftermath. The Ellis elders had pinned their hopes on him, the last viable Omega, bartering his future for stability. They call it duty, Rowan said one evening, over reheated chowder, voice flat as the sea on calm days. Feels like drowning. Elias leaned forward, elbows on granite, the steam rising between them like a veil. I've been drowning my whole life. Firm first, family second, me last. It slipped out, rawer than intended, the admission hanging heavy. Rowan's gaze lifted, holding his for longer than usual, gray depths flickering with something unnamed. Recognition, maybe, or pity. The joint appearances started small. A charity gala for legal aid, black tie in a Belltown ballroom, where chandeliers dripped light like honey. Elias in tux, Rowan in slim charcoal, the pearl pin glinting. They entered arm in arm, a picture of poise, but tension hummed beneath. Elias's hand light on Rowan's elbow, scent blockers straining against the room's press of alphas and their mates. Whispers followed. Hawthorne's latest conquest. Ellis boy looks half frozen. At the bar, a tipsy beta lawyer clapped Elias's shoulder. Heard it's arranged. Pack politics, don't worry, they'll warm up. Rowan stiffened beside him, fingers wide around his gin. Elias shot back, voice steel. Mind your drink, Caldwell. Not your speculation. Later, on the balcony overlooking the lights, Rowan lit another cigarette, smoke veiling his face. You didn't have to. Elias shrugged, wind tugging at his bow tie. They're vultures. Smell weakness. Rowan exhaled slow, the cherry glowing. And you? What do you smell? The question landed soft, probing. Elias met his eyes, the city's glow haloing Rowan's profile. Truth, maybe. Under all the bullshit. A beat, then quieter. You. Rowan looked away, to the dark water below. Careful, Hawthorne. Truth bites. But he didn't move when Elias stepped closer, their shoulders brushing. A spark in the chill night, fleeting as a match struck and snuffed. The thaw accelerated in fits, like spring reluctant on the coast. Mornings, Elias brewed coffee strong as tar, 2 mugs left steaming on the counter. Rowan took his black, no sugar, and once, left a battered journal open, sketches of jagged coastlines, words scrawled in margins. The sea forgets. Men remember. Elias didn't touch it, but the glimpse lingered, a window cracked. One Sunday, the sky cracked open blue for once, and Elias found Rowan on the balcony, staring at nothing. Walk, Elias asked, no pressure. Rowan considered. Then, yeah. They wandered Green Lake, paths crunching underfoot, joggers and dogwalkers a blur. Silence companionable at first, then Rowan spoke. Miss the smell here. Pine and salt. Seattle's all exhaust and ambition. Elias kicked a pebble into the water. Ambition's my drug. Chased it till it owned me. He glanced sideways, Rowan's stride matching his, loose-limbed. What owns you? Rowan stopped, hands in pockets, wind ruffling his hair. Guilt, mostly. For leaving. For not being enough. The confession hung, vulnerable, and Elias's chest tightened. Alpha urge to protect surging, tempered by respect. You're enough, Elias said, simple, fierce. For surviving it. Rowan's laugh was genuine this time, brief as sunlight. Smooth talker. Comes with the suit. Practice. But his smile held, and as they walked on, shoulders occasionally bumping, the space between shrank. Not gone, but navigable. The scent bonding clause loomed, Mortimer's emails pinging like reminders of mortality. Elias broached it over Thai takeout. Pad see you tangled on plates. We don't have to. I can stall. Rowan pushed noodles around, fork deliberate. Stalling's just delaying the dive. He met Elias's eyes, steady. But, maybe not alone. The words shifted air, charged. That night, they sat on the couch, first time side by side. A documentary on droning about ocean currents. Rowan's knee brushed Elias's thigh, accidental, electric. Neither moved. When credits rolled, Rowan didn't rise. Stay, he murmured, voice threadbare. Elias nodded, arm draping the cushions, not touching but near. Sleep came fitful, dreams of tides pulling him under, Rowan's hand the anchor. Morning light filtered gray, and Elias woke to empty cushions, panic spiking. But the kitchen hummed, Rowan at the stove, eggs sizzling, toast charring slightly. Burnt the first batch, Rowan said, plating with a sheepish half-smile. Elias took a bite, flavors bursting, home, unbidden. Perfect. Their eyes locked, and in that gaze, the ice melted further, revealing depths Elias ached to explore. The third month hit like a squall, winds shifting without warning. It started with a call from Bar Harbor, Rowan's mother, voice syrup thick over the line, demanding video proof of the union's progress. Elias overheard from the hall. Rowan's response is clipped. Yes, ma'am. Stable. Yes. The phone clattered down, and Rowan emerged, face ashen, packing a go-bag with mechanical efficiency. Family thing, he said, avoiding eyes. Won't be long. Elias blocked the door, heart hammering. Talk to me. What's stable about this? He gestured wildly. The penthouse. Them, the fragile bridge they'd built. Rowan's pack was fraying, elders pressuring for heirs, whispers of dissolution if no bond formed. They're sending scouts, Rowan admitted, bag slung over shoulder. To verify. Scouts. Like we're livestock. Elias's alpha roared inside, protective fury boiling. Stay? Let me handle it. I've got contacts, leverage. Rowan's laugh cracked, pained. Your leverage is land and law. Mine's blood. He shouldered past, the door clicking shut like a verdict. Elias paced for hours, dialing Lena, voice frayed. He's running, sis. And I'm the asshole chasing shadows. Chase anyway, she said, blunt. Love's not a closing argument. It's showing up messy. He flew standby to Portland, then drove the coastal route, miles of ragged cliffs mirroring his gut. Bar Harbor greeted him fog-wrapped, lobster buoys bobbing like buoys in a storm. The Ellis compound was a weathered estate on Otter Point, clabbered salt-faded, air thick with brine and betrayal. Rowan was on the dock, hauling line, muscles straining under flannel, oblivious to the cold biting through. Elias approached slow, boots thudding on wood. You left without goodbye. Rowan startled, coil dropping with a splash. You followed. Not accusation, wonder, edged with fear. Couldn't not. Elias stopped short, hands open. Whatever this is, we face it. Together. Rowan's eyes searched his, gray turbulent. You don't know my pack. They break what's soft. Then let me be the hard part. Elias stepped closer, sense unmasked by distance, his warmth enveloping Rowan's chill. I'm not going anywhere. The kiss was inevitable, crashing like waves on rock. Rowan's lips salt-stung, hesitant then fierce, hands fisting Elias's jacket. Elias cupped his jaw, thumb tracing the pulse leaping wild, pouring alpha steadiness into the chaos. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling. Not here, Rowan whispered, glancing at the house lights flickering distant. Not yet. They drove back in silence, charged, the BMW eating miles under star-pricked sky. Seattle welcomed with rain, but the penthouse felt different, charged alive. That night, no guest room. Rowan in Elias's bed, barriers down, bodies tentative explorers. Touches mapped scars, Elias's from bar fights and boardrooms, Rowan's from ropes and regrets. No bond yet, but the promise hummed, sense entwining like vows unspoken. The scouts arrived a week later, 2 grizzled betas in wool coats, sniffing the air like hounds. They toured the penthouse, nodding at framed merger docks, lingering in the bedroom where sheets still held faint traces. Progress, one grunted, approval grudging. Rowan stood rigid beside Elias, hand brushing his in hidden solidarity. When they left, he sagged against the wall, exhale ragged. It's real now. Elias pulled him close, chin on crown. It was always real. But reality bit deeper with Harlan's decline. Elias flying east bi-weekly, hospital corridors sterile as lies. Rowan came once, unasked, sitting vigil while machines beeped elegy. Harlan, lucid in a rare window, gripped Rowan's hand. Take care of him, boy. He's too damn stubborn to ask. Rowan nodded, throat working. I will. Elias, in the hall, blinked back burn. Stubborn. Yeah, but for the first time, it felt shared. The romance bloomed quiet. Notes left on counters, coffee shit without you. Walks at dusk where hands linked casual, deepening kisses in elevators, urgent and unhurried. Elias discovered Rowan's laugh, rare as sunbreaks, over bad puns or burnt toast. Rowan traced Elias's tattoos, a sleeve of nautical stars from a rebellious phase, fingers reverent. Stories here, he'd murmur, lips following ink. Intimacy unfolded layer by layer, nights tangled in sheets, Elias learning the arch of Rowan's back, the hitch in his breath at neck nips. Omega heat simmered low, suppressants holding, but the pull intensified, sense sinking, dreams bleeding shared. Mate, Elias whispered once, post-climax haze, testing. Rowan stilled, then pressed closer. Maybe. The high crested at a firm retreat in the Cascades, cabins nestled in evergreens, bonfires crackling under endless stars. Colleagues toasted the power couple, oblivious to undercurrents. That night, by the lake, fireflies dancing, Rowan dropped to knee. Not proposal, but surrender. Bond with me, he said, voice steady as tide. If you want. Elias hauled him up, kiss devouring. Want doesn't cover it. The bite came under moonlight, filtered through pines. Elias's teeth sinking gentle into shoulder. Rowan's gasp a symphony, blood and bond sealing like ink on contract. Pain bloomed to ecstasy, sense fusing, cedar brine, a new horizon. They collapsed laughing, spent, the world sharper, colors vivid. Back in Seattle, the merger finalized, Harlan passing peaceful 2 days later. Legacy secured, but Elias grieved raw, Rowan the anchor through funerals and files. He was proud, Rowan said, holding him in the rain-lashed cemetery, umbrellas forgotten. I know, Elias clung, the loneliness he'd chased into lawyering now filled, overflowing. But peace was illusion, shadows lurked in bloodlines. The betrayal struck swift as a rogue wave, for months in. Elias returned from a late deposition to the penthouse dark, Rowan's scent stale, gone hours, maybe days. A note on the counter, handwriting neat, had to go back. Don't follow. Forgive me. No explanation, just absence carving hollow. Panic clawed, phone dead, texts unread. Lena's call confirmed. Whispers from Maine, Ellis elders furious at the bond's haste, claiming sabotage, demanding Rowan annul for purer matches. But deeper, a letter from Rowan's past love, a beta sailor lost at sea years back, relics unearthed in the compound attic, photos, letters pleading return. Guilt's resurgence, elders weaponizing it. You're betraying him by moving on. Elias drove through night, ferry rocking treacherous, arriving Bar Harbor at dawn, fog cloaking treachery. The compound buzzed hostile. Elders in the parlor, Rowan cornered, face bruised from discussions, eyes hollow. You. The patriarch spat, silver hair wild. City Alpha, poisoning our blood. Elias's fury ignited, voice thunder. Your blood? He's his own man. He shoved past, to Rowan, who flinched, instinct, not intent. Rowan, come home. Elias extended hand, steady. Rowan shook head, tears carving tracks. Can't. They know, about Caleb. Say I'm cursed, dragging you down. Voice broke. Better alone. The lie burned, alone was the poison. Elias knelt, eye level, world narrowing. Loneliness isn't better. It's the cage we broke. He cupped Rowan's face, thumb wiping salt. We choose this. Us. Elders lunged, but pack law shifted. Elias's bond mark pulsing authority, Alpha's yielding to mated claim. Chaos erupted. Shouts, shoves, a chair splintering. Rowan rose then, fire rekindled, shoving his uncle back. Enough. My life. My mate. They fled to the truck, tires spinning gravel, main shrinking rear view. Silence stretched, broken by Rowan's sob, release, raw. Elias pulled over, gathering him close, rocking on the shoulder. Never again, Elias vowed, lips to temple. No running. Rowan nodded, burrowing. Promise. The drive home was healing, stops at diners for pie, hands linked over gear shift, stories spilling. Caleb's ghost laid gentle, Elias's father eulogized. Seattle embraced, penthouse sanctuary. Rebuilding wove tighter, therapy sessions in neutral offices, sense grounding. Weekends in the San Juans, kayaks slicing water, laughter echoing. Elias scaled back hours, prioritizing us in calendars. Rowan wrote, a memoir of coasts and claims, Elias' first reader, edits tender. The climax crested at Harlan's memorial gala, ballroom aglow, ghosts honored. Elias spoke, voice steady. He taught me law, but you. Glanced to Rowan, tuck sharp, eyes shining. Taught me love. Applause thundered, but their world was the squeeze of hands, bond thrumming. Yet doubt lingered, a final test. Rowan's heat, unbidden, crashing midweek, sense flooding, body fevered. Elias tended gentle, ice packs and whispers, resisting Rut's call till Rowan begged. Now, please. Union was revelation, bodies synced, souls bared, cries mingling to dawn. After, tangled in damp sheets, Rowan traced Elias's scar. True loneliness. It was before you. Elias kissed Knuckles. Now, we're free. The year turned, seasons cycling, rain to bloom, fog to fire. They adopted a rescue mutt, named it Tide, romps in parks forging family. Elias mentored young alphas at the firm, vulnerability his strength. Rowan published, readings in cozy venues, Elias front row. One evening, balcony perch, city sprawl below, wine warming veins, Elias knelt proper, ring glinting, simple platinum. Not forced. Chosen. Marry me, Rowan Ellis, again for real. Rowan's yes was whisper, kiss seal. Vows renewed in that Fremont chapel, friends witnessing, no shadows. Life unfolded human, arguments over dishes, makeups fervent, travels to Maine, mending bridges slow. Loneliness. A memory, transmuted to compassion's fuel. In each other, they found identity unbound. Alpha, Omega, simply men, loving fierce. For in the end, true connection wasn't fate's dictate, but courage's claim. To see another's ache, hold it tender, and build from ruins a home that endures.